focus on abundance versus a scarcity.
Yeah.
And therefore,
Facts.
even in the midst of this scary economic time, uncertainty, you're still pushing and figuring ways out. Like, we're selling plasma if we got to.
Right.
Selling blood, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You find different ways. What is it? Gigs, type of pet sitting, whatever it may be. Because there are ways there. Also, like, I'm a big energy person and believe that a lot of the work that we should be doing is sitting in a space of peace, where you then align yourself with the things that you desire, and then you get guided in divine guidance in how to move to get towards it, versus you're just running yourself ragged because you're trying to make something happen, where the most important work is just sitting where you can be at one with the compass that's within you, to then direct you towards those things that that are for you. And that goes with relationship, with whatever, I think sitting still allows you to choose from the things that you're going to attract, that even if affects your economic state.
I agree. Totally agree with that. So we're going to go to our next word, and that's triggered. So who wants to start this one off? Because, had an incident last night.
Oh, girl. Well, let me tell you that, don't put it on Front Street. There's this black man. And my political stance is very complicated, in the sense of, I really feel like a lot of people truly don't understand politics, and they don't. It's almost like they follow buzzwords and jump on bandwagons, but looking at bills and legislation, reading them, they don't know what's going on. So there was a friend that I had, a gentleman friend, so for me, during this our last election, I already had a feeling that our current president was going to win.
Right.
When people were like, "Oh, there's no way," I just knew it. I felt like, because of the economic state that most people were feeling, and the illusion of stimuluses that were passed out, and I think during the COVID time, that a lot of people, maybe middle class folks, benefited, be it those small businesses, they were able to get the PPP loans. And so I think a lot of people were thinking they kind of came up a little bit during that time versus where they were. People Ubering was, you dropping off food. Like, a lot of people who were being almost independent, a lot of people left their regular jobs because when they found that time is precious, and so they figured it was more so quality than, so a lot of people reinvented themselves financially and how they were going to get money, right? So I knew that the Democratic Party, which was the president that was before our current president, that they didn't really have an ear to the people. They really weren't paying attention to that. And I've had this conversation with Lolly. I felt that even if households were given $1,000, just one, that because of the way that people think politically, that right there would have kind of changed a lot of the voting. Even like, it just would have made a lot of impact. It was almost, to me, it would be like a deposit of hope towards things getting better.
Okay, fair enough.
So I say all that to say I knew that we would have our current president. So, of course, I voted. And of course, as a woman and a black woman, I voted for Kamala Harris.
Facts.
My stance on even on political like voting, for me, it's like you've had all these men who were presidents before, and our country is still fucked up. Why not give a woman a chance? Like, there's a lot of, oh, well, she's not this and that, that. But really, what impact, what changes, what things have all of these previous presidents done? No, right? So give something new a try, really. So that's how I voted. And I wasn't invested in following the polls and the this and the that because emotionally I was preparing myself. But I had this friend, and he came over the election day, and after voting, and he voted for Trump, and it was in the middle of the day, and he's a black male, and it was just such a blow, right? But as the numbers came in later on in the evening, and it was almost like an early call to me, the level of, and I'm not a scary person. I think my outlook on things are very much, I have divine protection. But I became so frightened and felt so alone.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of early statistics, and it just showed that there were a lot of black men who voted otherwise.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I just felt like, why are we so hated?
It was triggering.
That a person who doesn't even make any sense, that has laid out
a plan of destruction.
Detailed plan of destruction, but there's so much dislike, and there's something that came over me. I felt so alone and so unsafe. And again, like I already prepared myself mentally for the outcome because I just knew that was going to be the outcome. But just having this friend come over, that was triggering. That was triggering, and I don't speak to him anymore. I couldn't justify
remaining his friend.
Yeah, I couldn't justify it.
So my experience was different. I was not prepared for this. I have a cousin, I'm very close. She's also cancer, like you, love her to death. And since 2016, we had been in tune to the elections. We saw how Trump had responded the first time. My husband was deported during the first regime of Trump in 2017. I knew the impact of what was going to happen with deportations. I saw the economic state. I knew the stimulus didn't do anything for a lot of the communities that I was doing business in, and I was in tech then, making very good money. And I saw a bigger picture, and I saw the bigger picture because there were still several sexual assault cases. I had not recovered from I grabbed women in their private parts. I was triggered then.
Let's say it.
Yeah, pussy. Grab them in the pussy.
It's okay.
And I was triggered then.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop being triggered every time I saw that man. Everything about him gave me rapist, misogynist, predator vibes. Okay. I was not prepared the way you were because I had been in the thick of it. I was supporting, I was donating. I was surrounded by black women doing well, okay, despite him. And we were committed and focused. When Biden walked away late, which I still feel like was just huge, and Kamala stepped in, I had not seen her as a symbol of woman. I seen her as the symbol of progression, and where more women were going to be able to take themselves and be supporters and providers of their families. I had not been privy until I would say the week of the election to black men saying they weren't going to vote for her. So I had a date with a young man in his 30s, and the triggering came from, at that time, many men in their 30s were trying to talk to me. I was like, why? Like, what's the deal? Well, I had a guy take me out to dinner out here in the Worcester area, and he took me out to dinner, and I asked him, I said, are you going to vote? And he would go, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Okay. And I asked him why, and he was like, because he was from the New Orleans area, and he was telling me that his grandmother raised him. Anybody who's been in New Orleans, you already know New Orleans, black impoverished communities are striving for upward mobility, despite the odds. And I mean, they never even really recovered from Katrina. Katrina, we know that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so this guy is talking to me, all of that. He was trying to have interest in me. I wasn't interested in him because, but even before he said he was going to vote or not vote, he was undecided, and I couldn't comprehend. How were you undecided with so much that has been presented in your face? I was being triggered then. After the election, he calls to take me out, and I asked him, did he vote? He said he voted for Trump. I asked him why, and he said, well, you can't possibly think they want to let a black woman become president. We were going to go to war. And I said to myself, I had literally was at dinner with him, and I grabbed my chest. And I said, I want to thank you so much for the honesty. However, I need to leave the restaurant. I'm going to ask you please not to call me again. And he didn't. He didn't need to say. He knew what I felt. On the night of the election, like you, I couldn't get out of bed. And I couldn't get out of bed because I was saying to myself, at the time I was working at an all-white company. I was already being discriminated against, you know. As a contractor, and I said to myself, this is going to escalate.
The situation.
And then when the numbers came out, I was flabbergasted at the percentage of black people, period. But when I saw the percentage of black men, and I said to myself, how many of these men am I going to run into? That frightened me. And sure enough, I started meeting several men who were trying to talk to me and take me out. And none of these men, they either stood down and didn't vote, which is a vote for Trump, or they voted for Trump. So I met a dude online. Black people meet. I'm off the site, but black people meet. Reached out to this guy. He asked for my phone number. Reached out to this guy on Monday. He called me last night. Young guy, 32. Again, I don't date. There's nothing wrong with dating beneath your age, and we'll talk about that in another second. But I'm just a woman who, it's the experience that I'm attracted to. It's the distinction of being able to make it to this age. I had a child who didn't. So I you know what I mean? So with that being said, I talked to this guy for a little bit, and I was kind of noticing some discrepancies in this conversation. And I asked him, I simply said, did you vote? He said he did. I, in my belief, lived with his mother, had nieces and sisters. I think he lived with his sisters too. And he was
he said he didn't.
He said he didn't, but it was almost 10 o'clock at night. I'm talking to him, and he told me his mother had a birthday party, and it was on a weekday. You know what I mean? And he said he'd go to work at 6 in the morning the next day. Things weren't right. So I assumed he just lived there, and never got any further because when I asked him did he vote, he became automatically triggered, and he was extremely defensive. And he was like, I voted because she wasn't going to win. They're never going to let a black woman win. And then he hung up on me. And then he sent me a very disrespectful text telling me I need to kill myself. I need to be out in the field, these types of things. And when I saw the text, I said, okay, well, he was triggered. And then I had to think, well, why is this black man at 32 triggered? And I believe he was triggered because he had been meeting so many black women who they asked him. Because a lot of black women are asking you if you voted now. because we need to understand, are we safe around you? We really mean that from our soul. Are we safe around you? And if you voted for that man, we know that your ideology is not matching ours, and it could put us at grave danger and risk. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist for the most part, but I was a fervent watcher of The Handmaid's Tale for 6 years. I read the book and saw the movie in 1987 or 89 when it first came out, when it starred Robert Duvall. And it impacted me then as a child. And so as an adult, like I was glued to the series because I said, this could happen to us. This could happen to us. And the men who voted for Trump are triggering me when I asked the black men, and a lot of black men in New England did this. They either stood down or they didn't vote. My perception was because most of them are dating white women, and we talked about the acceptance of that. But now I'm starting to see that these black men dislike the fact that despite everything during the Trump's first term, we were still able to grow leaps and bounds. We didn't let that stop us. And they took that as a threat to their manhood because they couldn't navigate and figure it out. And that punishment for us was to vote against us, to have us broken down and hurt again. And that triggers me because I say to myself every single day, I'm a mom. I have a black son. As you know, my son is dating a Turkish woman. However, my son, and I'm not making excuses for him, what I'm saying is my son dated all women. He was with an African-American woman for 7 years, and she didn't want to marry him, and this woman does. And but my experience of being triggered is the safety component. When I don't feel safe, I am triggered. When I saw Trump come down the escalator, I was triggered because I already knew about his relationships, being married to other women and cheating on all of them. And I already knew about the experience of how he brought Melania over here. And I also knew that he was mistreating that woman. And I was triggered then. I was triggered by every man who said they supported him because I said to myself, well, how are you treating your women at home? I was triggered because these black men are trying to talk to black women and have us accept that they don't really like us. And they want us to be cool with just sleeping with them. We're not willing to do that anymore. You either, like they said, 10 toes down with us, or you simply not. And that vote said you're not 10 toes down. And this young black brother was triggered because I asked him the question. It wasn't the first time he's been asked.
You weren't disrespectful at
all.
I mean, the fact that you was hung up on.
Right.
And I wish you could read the text of what he said.
I can, if you'd like me to read it.
I think you should read it because it's still very haunting to me because it's like.
How did you get there, right?
How did you get there? But
from a question.
Thank goodness. Because if this was just so surface, it just took one little question.
Who are you?
One little question for you to then.
Okay. So he hangs up on me and he says, you better get your ass out there in the field and do something about it. Don't come at me with that bullshit. And if you thought they was going to let a woman be president, let alone a black woman become president, then you definitely delusional as fuck. I didn't because of those motherfuckers, right? Wasn't worth shit. She had people twerking and rapping at the rallies. He was promoting Proud Boys. You was fuck either way. I don't give a fuck about anything romantic with you, bitch ass. Fuck you. And that podcast, whack ass shit ain't gonna make it off the ground. Kill yourself.
Go and kill yourself. From you just asking, did he vote?
But that's guilt, which is our next term. This is a form of guilt. Because, I'm going to tell you why I say that. A lot of young men in their 30s, what I'm finding is when they feel guilty, the only emotion they can get because they haven't had a father around is how to make you feel guilty about asking me anything. How do I make you feel guilty about bringing accountability to me? How do I make you feel guilty? And because he's been asked this question so many times and his answer has been the same and women have shunned him, I know shun is a strong word, but we need you out of the space. We can't be around you. I can't. Yeah. That his defense mechanism was to try to break me down, try to discredit the work that we're doing, try to gain more power, and then be extremely disrespectful. When you tell someone to kill yourself, what you really want to say is you want to kill your own self because you know that vote is going to be detrimental.
It to me, it just escalated so quickly. And it's like, if you are a male, and this, I don't want to put so much on men, because I do and have recognized that they don't have the emotional space or spaces where they could really express their feelings. So it's a lot of weight on their shoulders.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
that's fair.
If you are at such an emotional state
and you're out here dating,
you should not be dating. If you are that easily triggered, to tell someone that a minute ago you were actually interested in pursuing.
A minute ago.
Just think what the toxicity level
would
be in a relationship.
That is correct.
That a person you don't even know, from
never met,
and just asking you about how you voted, so they can make
why.
So they can make an assessment on whether or not there's alignment there, because that is huge right now. Mm-hmm. It is huge that I don't believe that those two political differences can really live in a household.
They not a healthy household.
No, not a healthy household. But then for you to go to the point, you could say all those things. Well, you better get out in the field and try to do something about it.
I did. I voted.
Right. But even the point of like, and if you thought, so that tells me that you're so beaten down that there's no hope in you.
Yes.
If you thought.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And regardless of what you think, you still got to do your part in what you would like to see happen. But to go to the extreme and say, go kill yourself. I want to speak to that young man, because he's definitely going to watch the podcast.
Yeah.
Brother, I don't know what pain exists deep within you.
But it's definitely there.
But it's there. Words are powerful. Words are hurtful. And you don't know the state of someone. And just, you don't know the brink of where a person is. Lolly lost her son. She lost a child. And imagine if she was in a state of just sadness and just really trying to push through. And just because of her asking you to explain your position, you then respond with go and kill yourself. The vileness, I just imagine that you're really hurt, and I just hope that healing will come to you.
Well, healing can only come to him if he's willing to accept the guilt that he feels. Mm-hmm. I'm not convinced that a black man who voted for Trump, after seeing his reactions and what he's doing right now, doesn't have a mother who's being impacted by this. That he's talking about how much you love her, has little daughters and nieces and sisters, and say how much you love them, who isn't feeling some degree of guilt, knowing that they contributed to the demise of the African American.
Yeah. Or not even the African American, but to the demise of America.
Yeah.
America and democracy.
Yeah.
To the demise of, the Constitution that has stood so strong. And, if you think about it, we can't get much amendments added to the Constitution.
That is correct.
And here we're almost every, and I want to speak to all those people who really truly believe in the democracy and what the founding fathers of this country stood for.
Facts.
I don't think anyone of logic and reason. So that's why it's so even hard for me to understand that he was voted into presidency, because I just thought any person of a sound mind and logic would not be able to cast a vote in his favor. And so what I think now is that, those people who stood down, those people who voted for him, and I think they just really, I want to give them that pass of, they just kind of was like, whatever, lackadaisical about it too.
Okay.
And now they're really seeing the impact on,
And this is what I mean by guilt. I have a sister myself who I barely speak to now. She stood down on her Christian beliefs. I'll tell you what I know. This vote was so monumental. The negative impacts are so quick and so swift.
Very quick.
That in order for me to even consider any level of forgiveness of this, will take something greater than I can provide to them. And I know that sounds bad, but I have a duty to protect who I love. I was put on this earth to protect who I love. And when you decided that you were going to take my rights away, you showed me you don't love me. How can I look at you any differently? And then for you to still continue to stand on 10 because of it, and have no humility of guilt.
And I hear that, and I recognize that, and that is, I think, many people's state and standpoint and viewpoint. Again, like I said, my political thoughts are very complex, and I do believe that all as awful as this is, it's kind of like birthing pain, To bring forth anything new, it requires a level of struggle and suffering, and I believe that specifically for a political system and a system that's in America, that it's very hard to, and almost impossible to, effectuate change from the baseline of that system. That there needs to almost be a destruction or a crumbling of that system to truly effectuate all of the changes that we have desired as a society. I do believe that as a whole, it's human nature to want to feel safe. And I think regardless of how people voted, and I just want to kind of just put this on like a hopeful tone, that people want to feel safe. People want to feel like that they have those basic rights to liberty and the pursuit of happiness, those inalienable rights, right?
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, and possibly black men, they feel so boggled down, and they feel like in this system that no matter what they have done, it's so hard to make gains. It's almost, one time I just kind of like, I envisioned, how salmons are usually trying to like swim upstream. I think sometimes the plight of blacks in America is almost the analogy of a salmon trying to swim up the Niagara Falls current. It is damn near impossible. you have to work so much harder. You have to do, and it's almost like there has to be some miraculous thing where there's a gap between the water flow where you're able to break through and make it up there. And even if you're able to make it up there, there's so much current that is pushing against you. So I feel.
So their job is to make us feel guilty because.
No, it's not even about that, because I'm just saying and understanding that there's been so much bucking against a system that almost feels impossible to make gains to where they kind of just like whatever type thing. I'm just saying that. So I feel that and I think he is bringing, regardless of, what people think, democracy is at risk. Democracy as we know it. It is going to change under this administration. And maybe through that change, because people are always going to seek freedom. It is just natural. And so the oppression that is being caused and being felt by all of these executive orders, all of these, rights that are just being taken away through these executive orders, that it may crumble the system, and it may be just what we need to actually bring forth the change that many, and I think more people desire than less people desire. So I do. That is kind of like my outlook on it. Like it'll be tough, and it's going to be painful, but like in birthing, it's, the highest contraction is right when that baby is ready to come out. It's so intense right now. America is at that. What is it? Your diluted 5 centimeters, and that pain is just like.
Yeah.
And I feel that's where America, it's very painful, and it could be very scary. I just want to say, just be hopeful that, be hopeful in humanity, and always eventually getting to a place and a space of what's right. It's just, it helps me manage some of the shit I'm seeing and hoping that we don't go into nuclear war, So.
My viewpoint is very different.
I know.
Because my viewpoint is that I agree 100% with you. The system is going to collapse. I'm not willing to do kumbaya with you when you're
I'm laughing,
but
yeah.
Catalyst
Yeah.
of this collapse.
Yeah.
There's no way on earth that's going to happen with me. Make no mistake. We are now what we consider enemies. Strong term.
Damn, Wally.
But I'm at that point. I'm frightened. I'm at that point. I cannot break bread with you. I don't want to have dinner with you. Don't invite me to your house. I don't care. I don't care, because I assure you, you haven't been to third world countries like I have seen, where genocide is rampant in the streets, and you voted for it. When people knock on your door as a person of color to drag you out of the house because of your color, that's why we're seeing more hate crimes than we've seen, and they've always been here, but now it's open in your face, calling you this, calling you that, and then you want me to have lunch with you when you voted for that? No. People think guilt is a bad word. I don't. I think guilt brings change. I think when you really accept that I did something wrong, I can't change it, but I can improve not to do it again. And if you don't feel guilty about this situation, what else are you willing to do on the next phase of change? If there's no moral compass, then what are you willing to do so that only you survive? And I think sometimes people hear guilt and it's like, well, I'm not guilty. I'm not a criminal. Well, okay. There's always degrees of guilt, isn't it? Right?
It's accountability.
It's accountability. Yeah. And if you're not willing to go to that route with me, no. Pass me with the bullshit. Cross the street when you see me. on site when I see you.
So I'm hearing two different things, because you said you're not willing to break bread with anyone who voted on there.
I'm not.
But would you be willing if they're taking accountability? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's a great term. That's a great segue too. I'm willing to accept you took accountability. I'm not willing to spend any more time with you. This is a cataclysmic, is the only term I could think of, cataclysmic impact on our society. We are women, and women of color are going to be 300,000 of us lost our job because of this.
Yeah, and think of what it does to the economic state, because a lot of Black households
were ran by us.
Yeah.
Are ran by us.
Yeah.
Oh no, sir. No, sir. I'm sorry, I can't, sir.
Okay.
We have come up to the end of this episode. This will be 2 segments.
Yeah.
We want to once again thank you so much for joining us. This was a very deep conversation. But I think it's important that we have these deep conversations and we have them out loud. If we don't have them out loud, they'll boil up in front of us like this gentleman did, and did an outburst because he felt a certain way. Now, I'm not saying he felt guilty. I'm giving you a perception of my opinion on that. But the bottom line is that without these conversations, we can't come to some type of community of support and change.
And healing.
Healing.
You know, and healing and mental health. Like, if you're not allowed, or if you don't have those spaces. And I, because I heard this from a gentleman, and he's like, you know, there really, even amongst Black men, there aren't safe spaces to have conversations like we're having right now. So I would encourage our Black men of New England and whoever else is listening, and just men in general, to try and come together, because you guys do need the support of one another to have and create safe spaces where you can have these conversations, so that it doesn't become build up in you, and then what we see is that
this outburst.
It renders you useless to anyone in your life and leads to severe mental health issues, which, you know, that's a huge thing where a lot of our men are taking their lives now.
They are.
There's been a huge uptick and increase in that too. So you do want to create your own spaces where you can have these conversations, where you're not
red pilling it left and right.
I don't even know what the red and the blues or the whatever pinks or whatever is. But so you're not fucking it away, right? Using somebody else, hurting somebody else, where you're not drinking it away, where you're not drugging it away,
beating it away.
Beating it away. Just create some safe spaces, guys. And thank you so much for listening. You know, please share our podcast with all your friends, your friend groups on social media. Give us thumbs up, donate, please help support and encourage us continuing these conversations. Until next time,
take care of yourselves.
Take care.
Bye-bye.